right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're excited to have everyone on Journey for Justice Alliance Facebook page live and having an amazing time being in this discussion. Thank you all for registering to be a part of this discussion tonight. My name is Ronsha Dickerson. I am excited to be a part of this panel discussion about the quality of life agenda. What is that? Like, what are we building? So we're going to get deep into that conversation, but we want to make sure that folks understand that tonight is going to be a freedom fighter panel discussion. We're going to be talking about escalating to a mass mobilization in Washington, D.C. on May 17th. We're going to talk about why we need a youth mandate, why we're pushing for the schools our children deserve, and why we have to unite around all the quality of life things that we need in our community, especially poor, Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, so we can be able to uplift and be able to give a resounding spirit of right now is our time. Right now is the moment. Right now in 2021, people of color, Black people and people of color have particularly fought very hard to get us to this moment. We've been standing in lines for elections. We've been holding people accountable. We've been on the streets. We've been screaming out, see us, know us, and know that we are true. So now is the time for us to come together and mobilize around how do we de-silo all the things that we're fighting for and put it under one large umbrella and fight for that justice and make sure that the people who are in administration, the people who are our legislators that we voted in or was appointed are held accountable to what we demand and what we need in our communities. So today we are having our national webinar, Quality of Life Agenda, here on Journey for Justice Facebook Live page. Tell your folks to get on. Tell them they're going to miss a freedom fighter discussion. Tell them that this is an opportunity for them to build with us, an opportunity for people to get in the chat and talk. This is a moment for us to prepare for a critical time to drum up and rally around a huge day that's going to happen in May 17th. We understand it's a pandemic, everyone, all our freedom fighters and comrades and all of our naysayers. We understand it's a pandemic, but we also know that for a time as critical as now, we have to make sure that everyone understands that while this pandemic is happening, there are people who are in positions to capitalize on this moment. So we have to use this window of opportunity to build the ground, to build the power, to build our success, to build strong mobilizations, whether it be virtually or in person. We cannot organize by virtual connection. So I want to thank you all for getting on. Again, share, let folks know that we are on the Journey for Justice page. Again, my name is Ronsha Dickerson. I'm the national organizer for the Journey for Justice Alliance, and I am more than humble and excited to have you all on today, and we're going to get right into it. So now I have the honor of bringing up the masterful MC. She's the mama on the microphone. We want to make sure you understand who this person is. You hear her name, you can feel her spirit. Give it up for Anika, who will be our MC, bringing us forward through this whole entire webinar tonight, and she is from Arkansas. Let's give her some love, y'all. Anika, you got the mic.
Thank you so much, Sister Ronsha. Thank you for bringing in the fire. You are a freedom fighter for sure. We want to welcome everyone who has come and joined us tonight. Yes, get ready. We have some freedom fighters that are ready to share with us tonight to get us pumped up for our May 17th event in Washington, D.C. Yes, we are concerned about the quality of life of everyone in this nation, and we want you to join in with us with this freedom fighting movement. Yes. Right now, we are asking you to get your fingers ready because we want you to type in where you are from. We want you to rep your region. So when you hear your region, please type in the chat and share which city you are coming from and give us some of your regional love. So if you are right now from the East Coast in the house, put it in the chat. Let us know what city you are hailing from. What about our Mid-Atlantic folks? Represent, put your names, your cities in the chat right now. Let us know where you are coming from. Any Midwest folks in the house? Come on, Midwest, represent. Put your city in the chat. What about the South? Come on, South. When we lift from the bottom, everybody rises. Come on, South. Get your names, your cities in the chat. What about those mountain family members? Come on, mountain people. We know you're out there. Put your city's name in the chat. West Coasters, West Coasters, West Coasters in the house. Put your name in the chat. Put your city in the chat. Let us know that you are here. Yes, we are excited to be here tonight, and we hope that you will catch the fire of this freedom fighter movement and this freedom fighter panel discussion that is getting ready to come forward. And as we prepare for it, we ask that you take some time right now as you continue to put your names and your cities in the chat to join us in this grounding video that will help set the tone and purpose for why we are here tonight. So take it away, Brent.
With an all-out assault on organized labor and the push to remove Black and brown families from cities, we can either wilt or be the instruments of change that transform this country. Recognize this. Recognize this. The greatest weakness of any oppressor is that they always underestimate the oppressed. Always. Always.
We always, always, always represent the oppressed. Keep putting your names, keep putting your cities in the chat. We want to know who you are. We want you to represent your region. So stay engaged. This is a conversation that we're having right now. Coming to the mic lighter himself, Brother Jitu Brown. He is our Journey for Justice Alliance National Director. He is coming to the mic right now to provide us an overview and vision of our Quality of Life Rally and Festival. Come on, Brother Jitu, light it up.
Man, Anika, I don't know if I can live up to that, sis. What's going on? What's going on?
All is well, brother. I'm just happy that you are in the house tonight.
Yes, ma'am. I want to send love to my sister, Anika, who is also the co-founder of Grassroots Arkansas, out of the mighty Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you, sister, for always being willing to step up in the moments that are needed. So look, I'm not going to be long, but I hope I could be strong. Great organizer taught me that the foundation of any nation are the institutions that lay the structure for the people's development. And the way that you build community is you invest in those basic quality of life institutions. The way you destroy community is you starve those institutions. I've been a community organizer for much of my adult life. I've experienced campaigns from making grocery stores in the hood improve their services, to young people organizing to stop violence against them by school resource officers, to fighting school closings, to organizing with tenant councils to hold slumlords accountable, to save hospitals, to make sure our schools and communities have more resources. And the one thing that we learned in the Journey for Justice Alliance is this. First, let me say this. Journey for Justice is a national alliance of grassroots community-based organizations in about 36 cities around the country and growing. We use community organizing as our primary methodology to win equity in public education. But what we know is the same hatred that made Rahm Emanuel close 50 schools, made Bloomberg shut down over 160 schools in the city of New York. That same hatred that will make a school resource officer grab a child and flip them or beat them as if those people weren't human. It's the same hatred that snatched the life of George Floyd. It's the same hatred that makes ICE agents raid people's homes and makes government lock children in cages. It's the same hatred that made Trinity Health Systems, a $13 billion healthcare giant, try to close Mercy Hospital on the south side of Chicago in the middle of a pandemic. We didn't look at that issue and say, well, I'm an education organizer, I can't touch it. We formed the Chicago Health Equity Coalition. We rolled our sleeves up and we said, you're gonna have to bring some to get some. And we fought this giant and we pushed the governor of this state. And I'm here to report to you that Mercy Hospital is staying open. Mercy Hospital has been purchased by Insight, and we will have community members on the board of that hospital. And I'm not saying that to you to boast, because there's nothing special about me or the brothers and sisters that we work with, except we're doing our best to be for real. So we understand that in this moment, where the man that sits in the White House has you to think that we have to make the Democratic Party do something different. We must raise the bar. Now, feel me on this, sisters and brothers. Whenever there are disasters, oppressors take advantage of those disasters. Look at New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Look at, and New Orleans is feeling the effect of that today. My sisters and brothers in New Orleans are fighting for a better quality of life. You look at what they did in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. We can go on and on and on. And there's no different with COVID. With COVID, they are reshaping the world as we are sitting here. They're coming up with they're doing things like facial recognition at airports, coming up with a new form of identification, increasing police powers, changing school as we know it. They're changing the world around us. And so what we understand, and many of the people that are on this call, we've struggled with this question. During a global pandemic, can we raise our voices? My brother Jackson Potter with the Chicago Teachers Union, when we started organizing with the groups around the country around the safe and equitable return to school, we masked up and we turned out. And our people were okay. We were fine. We masked up and we turned out. And so we're saying on May 17th, we have to do the same thing. Just as the oppressive systems take advantage of disasters, we must seize this moment to raise the bar for this particular party that has taken our votes for granted for decades. Because one thing is true that Donald Trump said, and y'all like, you about to quote Donald Trump? I'm about to quote Donald Trump. One thing he said that was true, that most ghettos in the United States are governed by Democrats. So in response to our loyalty, we get liquor stores on every corner instead of a grocery store. We get ran down medical centers instead of good hospitals. We get underfunded and starved schools and zero tolerance policies for our children. We get slumlords instead of quality affordable housing. And we say that we have to raise the bar. So this is our moment. We're telling people on May 17th, we're not going to fight in silos, sisters and brothers. We're not going to say, well, I'm an education organizer. No, the tentacles of racism touch every quality of life institution that non-people of color take for granted every day. Whether you got a grocery store, have you ever had to deal with a slumlord? Have the police ever cracked you upside the head? This is our reality. This is our reality. And I'm talking to you as a 54-year-old black man who at the age of 10 had a gun put to my mouth by the Chicago police. So this ain't new. This ain't new. This is just our reality. But this is also our moment. So we're saying, let's look at what a quality of life agenda could look like. Now, it's not new. The March on Washington in 1963 was about a quality of life agenda. But what happened is a racist president from Texas signed the Civil Rights Act. So we have an opportunity now to push the Biden administration and to push local government, that we're not coming to you in silos anymore. We want education. We want environmental justice. We want decent, affordable housing. We want health care. We want youth investment. We want supports for our seniors. Y'all get my point? Because to not have that, sisters and brothers, is what we call manufactured misery or state-sponsored sabotage of life. And so we are humbly asking you to stand with us. We are not activists. We are organizers. We are people who are working to master the artistic science of working with the people directly impacted to build strategy and power to transform conditions. That's what this world needs at this moment. That's what we need. So with that, we're asking you, man, to stand with us. We are trying to stand with you, not in front of you. We're just trying to light the match at this moment. And May 17th to have a quality of life festival where we have some music. We got confirmation from Morgan State University marching band. They're gonna rock it out for us. You feel me? We'll have spoken word. We'll have MCs. We'll have singers. We're gonna have some African drum and dance. So we're gonna get it in. But most importantly, we're gonna bring decision makers before us around our quality of life agenda and launch a national campaign around equity, Like we say, equity or else. We want to hold people accountable for and raise the bar on people who have often used our struggles to advance their political careers. We say those days are over. And there's nothing we can't win. Let me say this to you in closing. There is nothing that we can't win. Our only limitations are the ones we accept. I'll say that one more time. We must be bold. We must be daring. We must push possibilities to the limit because the only limitations we have are the ones we accept. Thank you all very much. Nothing but love. Chi-Town, I'm out.
Never out, always in. Never out, but always in. We thank you so much, Jitu Brown, for bringing up that fire. Brother, we know and we hear you that when we come together, when we build together, we can hold on to our hospitals and our neighborhoods and our communities. We can say no to all of the systems that come and work against us because we are the people and the people have the power. And so we are coming with people power, heading to Washington, D.C. on May the 17th. Yes, that's a Monday. That is the Monday that we recognize that the Brown versus Board of Education decision has not been realized yet. And I say yet because we are here to make sure that it becomes realized. So we're asking all of you who have joined us today, put your names in the chat, put your cities in the chat, rep your regions in the chat. We want to connect with you because we want to raise this bar together on May 17th in Washington, D.C. for our Equity or Else Quality of Life Agenda Festival and Rally. Now, we recognize that we are still in a season where COVID-19 is still rampant in our streets. And so we do honor the quality of the lives of everyone. And so we are asking that you take our health and safety pledge as you plan to join us in Washington, D.C. I'm going to share it with you now, but please know that as you register online, as you register to join us in Washington, D.C., a part of the survey will provide that equity or else quality of life safety pledge that we hope that you will not only take, but adhere to and let other people know that we are planning a safe festival and rally in D.C. So here's the pledge. You are pledging that as a participant of the Equity or Else Quality of Life mass mobilization, I pledge to demonstrate and role model COVID-19 safety behaviors during the entirety of the event with others who are or are not members of my group. I'm pledging to wear a face covering, a mask shield, or both when in proximity to others, social distancing at least 6 feet from others. Choose the outdoors as we gather in space. Wash my hands with soap and water and use hand sanitizer often. Avoid touching my face. Avoid unnecessary gatherings not sanctioned by planning organization. Follow all directives and guidelines given by hosting organization, respectfully complying with reminders to follow these guidelines and to encourage others to do the same, taking responsibility for my own decisions. I can do this so I can protect myself, protect my friends, family, colleagues, and community, serve as a role model for my community and organization, and slow the transmission of COVID-19. Listen, family, we recognize that a lot of people are lifting these masks and telling folks that they don't have to wear them, but we are absolutely asking that you would honor yourself as well as others by making sure that you mask up, making sure that you wash your hands, making sure that you use hand sanitizers. We believe in everybody having an excellent quality of life, and we will hold fast to this on May 17th in Washington, D.C. for our Equity or Else Quality of Life Agenda Festival and Rally. And we need you to be there. Yes, we need you to be there. So you can go to https // for the number 4 equity.org. That's STANDING, the number 4 EQUITY.org. Please go ahead, get on that website, check us out, read all of the information that we have for you to join us in Washington, D.C. on May 17th. You will see where you can register, and we need you to register. And we also would like for you to be sure to accept our pledge for health and safety together. Now coming to the mic is our sister Ransha again, who will offer up the ARC and polling questions.
Thanks, Anika. Thank you. You're killing it, girl. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to get right into it, y'all. We laid it out. Brother Jitu Brown laid it and set the tone. Anika's keeping us going. So let's get into the ARC. So I'd like to just thank the committee, the planning committee, who was a part of this, the steering committee, actually, who was working on this program together, Center for Popular Democracy, Alliance for Education Justice. We also like the Journey for Justice Alliance. We want to thank Chicago Teachers Union. And hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I think I got everybody in there. And the Midwest Academy for Training. Just thanking folks for just being a part of this part. All the other supporters were part of just being a part of the actual day of the event, like the Dignity in School campaign and all the unions, National Education Association, American Federation for Teachers. We just want to thank you all for supporting. But today's really about us getting into the ARC. So we have been doing this for some time. This didn't just happen overnight. We've been at it for a minute. Since 2020 had started, we were in those streets. We were mobilizing around, as you can see, education, of course, fighting for the education justice. But also, when we talk about education justice, we have to talk about racial justice. We know that's what bridges this fight to let it be known that we're struggling in communities of color, where students that look like myself, students that look like my IPOC family, we are struggling in those communities mostly, and teachers who teach those communities are noticing that there is a deep disparity in the circumstances in those communities that they teach in compared to where they may live. So it's important that we are all connected around spirit and this arc of we've been mobilizing. We know what is to be true. We know what the schools our children deserve, but now we're at May 17th. May 17th is a ramp up. So we're here at May 17th as a ramp up to get everyone out, mobilizing 10,000 people, Washington, D.C., May 17th for a full day of action from the morning to the evening, with a lot of great things happening in that time frame. And of course, practicing social distancing. But then we got to get into what does September look like? How does September look to everyone? We know we're in remote learning, hybrid learnings. Everyone's not back to full school yet, but what does that sound like when we are able to return to school? So we're going to put some polling questions up, just going to get your feedback. Please put your answers in the chat. I'm going to be able to ask these 2 questions to our audience right now. And remember, if folks are not on now, you want to do a watch party later, feel free to share this as a watch party later so you can be able to have the same conversation with your crew. So we have 2 polling questions to give to you right now. The first polling question is, and it's coming up on in your live, is that, yes, I'm sorry, here we are. Do you feel that your child or student's school is ready to be fully reopened in September 2021? That's a yes or no question. Please answer yes or no, put it in the chat. And our engineers will pile up the answers and be able to get the results. Do you feel that your child or student school is ready to be fully reopened in September 2021? Yes or no? The second question, as we wait for those results to come up, and don't forget to just type it in the chat, yes or no, and we'll be able to get a live polling right now. The second question is, thank you. Are you willing to sign on to a federal quality of life agenda? And that agenda looks like housing, education, safety, environmental justice, healthcare, economics, a youth mandate. And with this quality of life agenda, we will be building power in those poor Black, Indigenous communities of color across the country. Are you willing to sign that federal quality of life agenda? Yes or no? I see a lot of no's on the first question. I understand folks are not feeling good about reopening in September. I'm not sure if those schools feel safe enough. I'm not sure if those schools are equitable. I'm not sure if those schools will be healthy enough. But I also know that it's important that we get this poll out so folks can see it nationally, that we're asking across the country critical questions to guide us into the arc of what will schools look like in September. And if you can answer the second question and put that in the chat, are you willing to sign on to the federal quality of life agenda, housing, education, safety, environment, justice, healthcare, economics, youth mandate, to build power in communities of color where we live across the country? And from that right there, Anika, I will pass it back to you and we can continue on with the program. I thank you all for being honest in your answers. We really appreciate that. And we'll continue to have this further discussion as we lead up to May 17th. I'll toss it back to you, Anika.
Thank you, Ransha. Thank you so much. Now coming to the mic will be Jackson Potter with the Chicago Teachers Union. He'll be leading us in a survey about the federal stimulus package. Welcome to the mic, Jackson. Welcome.
Thank you, Anika, and good evening, everybody. I hope this is, people are seeing it in the chat. There is a survey. We're doing this all across Chicago too. And what we're seeing is the federal government has given more money to our cities, to our townships, our states than we've seen in 100 years practically. This stimulus is supposed to address systemic racism, the historic disparities that have been exacerbated by COVID. And so we've got to hold them to it. And part of what we're thinking in Chicago, at least, is this is moonshot money. You know, we have 30% more in our budget than we've ever had in the history of the Chicago Public Schools. And it's the same everywhere across the country. And so what are we going to do with that? Are we going to let them waste it by sending that money to put more police in the schools instead of counselors, restorative justice committees and personnel, instead of social workers and nurses and mental health clinics? No, we can't let them do that. So if you take this survey, that'll help us aggregate, where do you think this money should go? We could house all our homeless students in CPS right now with the money we've received from the federal government. That's 20,000 young people who need affordable housing. We could reopen and expand all our mental health clinics. We could give Black and Latinx students free rides through college to become teachers so that we can address the issues of not having enough Black and Latinx teachers in our buildings. We could give people who live around our schools free electricity by installing solar in our schools and then around the schools. And if we don't direct this money, we know it won't be used properly. They'll pay off some banks, they'll hire their cronies. So help us transform lives. Please tell us what you think this money should be used for. We're all going to have to fight for it. We're releasing a curriculum today in Chicago to get students, parents, and educators together on this issue, and we hope you'll do the same. So that's all I have. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so very much, Jackson. And we're hoping that you see that in the chat. We want you to make sure that you are filling out the survey. We are serious about this quality of life. We need to inform what that agenda looks like. And so we need your participation. So please do join us in that quality of life survey. Now coming to the mic. I know you all have heard a little bit already from our powerful brother, Jitu Brown, but we've got some other people that are about to hit this microphone and light it up for us all. We have a panel discussion that is coming up that will set your hearts on fire, and you will be ready not just to get to DC, but you'll be ready to run there on May the 17th. Coming to the mic right now to lead us in that panel discussion is none other than Dimitri Holtzman from the Center of Popular Democracy. He will now lead us in this quality of life panel. Come on, Dimitri. Come on, Dimitri. Hit this mic. Hit this mic.
Loving your energy, Anika. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here with you, with all of our comrades from the Journey for Justice Alliance, from the Chicago Teachers Union, and so many others. My role actually right now is the smallest. I'm just here to have the pleasure of introducing you to our panel for today, which is going to be about 15 to 20 minutes. As I said, my role is really to just introduce the badass organizers that are going to be talking about what issues under the broad Quality for Life agenda they are going to be raising around the May 17 action. And so we're going to hear in a moment from, we're going to hear 3 presentations on this panel discussion. We'll start with Jocelyn and Zulema from the Make the Road New York and Urban Youth Collaborative. who are going to be talking to us about the youth mandate for education and liberation and their fight in New York City for police-free schools. We'll then also hear from Diamonte from Schools Our Students Deserve, talking a little bit more about why equity in education funding, in particular for poor and BIPOC communities, is important and how that's going to be raised during our action. And then once again, we'll hear from our brother Jitu, who's going to elaborate a little bit more around why the quality of life agenda is important in this particular moment, focusing on education, housing, jobs, healthcare, etc. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand straight over to our panelists, starting with Jocelyn and Zulema from Make the Road New York and the Urban Youth Collaborative. Take us away with why this fight for police-free schools and the youth mandate for education and liberation is important.
Thank you, Dimitri, for the welcoming. If we can put the PowerPoint, that would be helpful. But really quick, Make the Road and UAC, Urban Youth Collaborative, have been fighting for police-free schools for many decades to end the prison and deportation to pipeline and the criminalization of Black and Brown students in schools. Before I continue, I would like to, this is our picture. We had one of our events last year during the pandemic. Can you switch to the next one, please? So before I continue, I want you all to picture numbers in New York City, while we're fighting for police-free schools in New York City, right? So New York City has the 6th largest police force in the whole country. What that even means, right? NYPD has about 36,000 police officers. They have over $6 billion budget. And within the NYPD exists safety school agents that surveillance our schools. There's about 5,500 agents inside schools, and their budget is 450, right? So this is incredible, insane, because like our schools need resources now more than ever. They don't have guidance counselors, they don't have teachers, they don't have the support that they need. And the city of New York continues hiring more teachers. If we can continue to the next one, please. Sorry. This is just a picture that you all can see how much money there are being investing in schools in New York City. We have about 1,600 public schools in New York City, and we only have of like these resources of nurses, psychologists, social workers, compared to the thousands and thousands of like police SSAs that are in school, like criminalizing students that are Black and Brown, right? Next, please. So what is our role, right, in New York City? What is our main vision? Our vision, our call is to remove the 5,500 SSAs out of the schools. And a lot of people are saying, oh, but what about security? What about this, right? It's not just removing them, it's reinvesting the money that they're investing in police to actual resources that will be helping students, such as like nurses, guidance counselors, therapists, teachers, resources that are gonna be beneficial. Not more than ever. With this pandemic, a lot of lack of resources have been released from what we have seen, right? Like there's a lot of students have said that they don't have hand soap, they don't have toilet tissue, they didn't have hand sanitizer whenever the pandemic was happening. So we need to invest the money that is investing in police into resources in schools. So that's our main goal in New York City with Make the Road New York, Urban Youth Collaborative, and other organizations, right? But this is not just us. Across the country, if you can slide the next one, please. Also, I want to show some pictures about last summer. We knew it was a pandemic, but like that, students, young people were decided to take the streets. These are some of the pictures that we did on the rallies. We had a plane having a banner. So things are possible, but we definitely need people. We definitely need young people, right? So it's not just us, again, about who who is fighting about this. Minneapolis, Portland, Denver, Rochester, Milwaukee, Oakland, Seattle, and Oregon have won this fight to remove either some or a portion of their police forces. So this is not something impossible. This is a fight that is not just happening in New York City. This is a fight that is across the country. And to one of my youth that if it wasn't for her, like I won't be doing this job, but like she's one of the person that inspires me to continue doing this. So Jocelyn, the mic is yours.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Jocelyn Palafox Diaz. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a youth leader at Make the Road New York and UIC. And I'm here today to talk to you guys about the fight for police-free schools, not just in New York City, but across the whole country. Students like myself have been fighting for police-free schools because we know it's time for the government to do the right thing, and that's to invest in our academic success. I joined this fight not that long ago, but I joined because I knew I needed to fight for my rights as a student. Police push back Black and brown students into the school to prison and deportation pipeline. As an undocumented student, I want to feel safe and supported in a place where I go every day to learn and not be policed. This fight started a long time ago, and the federal government created a lot of harm by creating the COPS grant program. We have to undo that harm. The pandemic has revealed the lack of social and emotional support from the federal government, and they have to address these past harms and connect that to investing in policing students and redirect that money into our social, emotional, and academic needs. If you could put it to the next slide, please. So youth like myself have specific demands for the Biden administration and Congress, and that is known as our youth mandate for education and liberation. So a quick background about the youth mandate is that it started from youth across the country, and they came up with priorities and demands for presidential candidates. And these were supported by Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, and Bernie Sanders. If you could go to the next slide, please. So the youth mandate is a package of policies focused on investments in education and not incarceration, restore and strengthen the civil rights of young people, and uplift the public education and end the private takeover of schools. Next slide, please. So young people showed up during the elections, and the vote of young people was crucial to remove the racist, xenophobic, and sexist administration. Now we need to push to hold this administration accountable. Youth reinforced the youth mandate to create a package of policies to ensure fully funded schools, police-free schools, and the restoration of student civil rights. The Biden administration and Congress must end all federal funding for police-free schools by passing the Counseling Not Criminalization in Schools Act. If you could go to the next slide, please. So this would be the end of federal funding for policing in schools and invest the restorative practices, counselors, and other supports. The federal government has given $1 billion to police in schools since 1994. This bill gives us a chance to stop the money and signal to local governments that police don't belong in schools. It's the best federal bill we've seen to advance in police-free schools. So I ask all of you guys to take 30 seconds to sign our petition at www.youthmandate.com and join us on May 17th for the opportunity to show dozens of cities, hundreds of schools, thousands of people support a de-investment from police and policing infrastructure and an investment on mental health, social workers, and restorative justice.
Thank you. Dimitri, the mic is yours. We are done.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, both to Jocelyn and Zulema. I want to just, before we move on to the next one, just come back to very quickly something that they just showed us, right? In New York City, there are 5,500 police officers in schools and less than 700 nurses, less than 1,000 school psychologists, less than 1,500 social workers. There is a small army of police in schools in New York, and hardly any nurses to speak of. What they are showing to us is that there is investment that is happening in Black and brown students in education, but how that investment is happening is in an investment in policing them rather than educating them. So thank you again for reminding us of that. Thank you for telling us why the youth mandate is important. Appreciation and respect to both Jocelyn and Zulema. Y'all keep up the good and important fight there. With that, thank you for that. We're going to now move to the next panel discussion and presentation from Diamonte from Schools Our Students Deserve. And Diamonte is going to talk to us about why equity in education funding is important, in particular for our BIPOC communities. So without further ado, over to you, Diamonte.
And I am the president of the Baltimore Teachers Union. I committed to helping get more people in Baltimore City organized to attend the Quality of Life rally, and included in those people are members of the Baltimore Teachers Union. Some of the agenda items that will be presented in the Quality of Life agenda are also aligned with concerns that have been spoken by my members, by student strike organizers in Baltimore, and by many Baltimore City public school parents, like over-reliance on standardized testing. Our student strike organizers have committed to not returning back to in-person learning when it's their time to opt in, because they believe that they'll only be going back to take standardized testing. So, and parents have communicated those same concerns, and educators have definitely communicated those concerns. Also, one of the things on the agenda is attacking the decline of Black teachers. And most of Baltimore City is Black, and most of our teachers are white. And even more of a concern is that we have very few Black male teachers, but we have Black males serving in many other capacities in our school system, probably not getting paid the wages they deserve. And so that's another concern my members have, that people in Baltimore have. And also another thing on the agenda is not having appointed school boards. Baltimore City has a fully appointed school board. It is the only jurisdiction in the state of Maryland that has a fully appointed school board, and probably just so happens to be the blackest and poorest jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. And so once again, this is an issue that's aligned with my membership. And so a lot of times what I hear labor leaders and people that represent labor organizations say is, there may be something on this agenda that I'm having a difficult time getting my members to sign on to, or my e-board to sign on to. And I would say, maybe you want to consider shifting the conversation from it being a sign-on conversation, which is a weird new thing I'm learning in the labor world, to an opportunity for your members to learn more about some of the issues that they have concerns about. An opportunity for your members to use the rally as a way to engage their students. An opportunity for you to reach out to other organizations in your city and provide them with the support necessary to participate in the Quality of Life rally. And, one of the things that we often do, especially in this pandemic, I know many of us are afraid it's in person. We instantly say, we're talking about being safe, while I don't want to get involved in something in person, where there's so many other ways you can get involved. So we want to be thinking about, how can I get people involved, not what are barriers to me being involved. And if you need help figuring out ways you can get involved, you can feel free to email me. I love generating ideas. My email address is dbrown@baltu.org. And I just lastly want to say that, you know, even if you're at capacity in your organization, just remember that one day you're going to need the community to have your back. And it's probably not a good time to ask somebody to have your back after you told them you didn't have time to have theirs. Thank you for having me.
Oh, am I back? Yeah, well, there we go. Thank you, Thank you so much, Diamonte Brown, President of the Baltimore Teachers Union. Apologies for the misnaming on that early on, and just want to reinforce your really important message there, right? Like, let's not see May 17 as only orientated towards the action that we're taking it on that day. Diamonte is talking important things about building solidarity, using this as a moment to connect the teacher union with youth organizers, with community organizers. Let's not see this only as a space that we show up on the day, but also as an opportunity for us to continue to build and grow the movement even more broadly, because we know this fight is going to be long. So again, thank you for those the first few panelists on this. We're going to now call on again Brother Jitu to round us off and bring us home on this panel discussion. Brother Jitu is going to talk to us again a little bit more deeply on why the quality of life agenda is important with regards to education, housing, jobs, healthcare, etc. So again, without further ado, Comrade Jitu, over to you.
Apologies. I want to thank my sister Diamonte for laying it out for us. You know, the importance of us looking at how can I be involved, why I shouldn't be involved. I think that's excellent. I think my sisters with the youth mandate on point. And I want to say this real quick. We want to make sure that May 17th is the launching of a different type of relationship between our communities and local and federal government. So one of the things that we want to put in place as an immediate next step, so that, you know, to Dimitri's point, this is not about an event, is we are establishing a national grassroots equity commission of grassroots leaders from different quality of life areas. And then our work will be to engage federal decision makers around different quality of life issues. So some folks remember we were doing things like the equity bus tours, and we did those in Chicago and DC and other places around the country. We want to do that when we're showing the inequity that exists in different quality of life areas, coupled with our quality of life agenda. And we want to build local equity or else coalitions where folks come together around at the local level around different quality of life issues. And so an example of this, if folks remember a few years ago, we had a campaign called the We Choose campaign. And people were tripping. Why are you calling it We Choose? Because we knew that the notion of school choice was an illusion. It was a scam, right? And our piece was that, no, we're going to choose equity, not the illusion of school choice. And so one of the issues in the education justice movement is that we were all working in silos. Some people working on testing, some people working on zero tolerance policies, some people working around restorative justice, some people working around school closings, more Black teachers in the classroom, when we're all fighting the same wolf in the education justice movement. Well, nowhere is that truer than just in the organizing space, period. So in the We Choose campaign, we brought people together across issue. We brought folks that fought around testing, and we built a We Choose platform. I want to share with you some of the work we did in the Journey for Justice Alliance to build our education platform, because it wasn't just about stopping school closings, but what is our vision for education equity? So can we share that on the screen real quick? Okay, you're going to have to make it big for the visually impaired. But absolutely. So the Journey for Justice Alliance platform is just very, very simply, can you scroll down for me, please? We can go past all of that. Okay, keep going. Thank you. So we have some very basic things. We want a moratorium on school privatization. We want school closings and the brokering the responsibility of educating our young people to private operators to end. We want 25,000 sustainable community schools by 2025. We want to end zero tolerance policies in public education now. And connected to that, we are definitely supporting the fight for police-free schools. We want national equity mandates. We feel like this country has figured out the loopholes to Brown v. Board. So we want local and federal policies in place to guarantee education equity, holding districts accountable that continue to have inequitable education practices. Some people say, what could that equity mandate look like? Think about the course offerings that are given to certain students that other students don't have. We highlighted that in our failing Brown v. Board report. We can make mandates to make sure that young people not only have the same, but they have what they need based on a community-based needs assessment in regards to what young people need in order to be whole. We want to stop the attack on Black teachers, so we support initiatives like Grow Your Own Teachers. We want to eliminate the over-reliance on standardized tests in public schools. As a matter of fact, we want to eliminate punitive standardized tests in public schools. And we definitely, like was said earlier, we want to end state takeovers, appointed school boards, and mayoral control. We know that governance is a key pillar to equity. You can't have equity without governance, without democracy. So that's our platform. We're saying if we can do that in education, we should be able to do that in everything. And we could bring that together to say, this is how we want to move forward. But we want to actualize it by setting up this National Grassroots Equity Commission that, again, engages with the federal government. And then we want to have local equity or else quality of life coalitions. Just like we had local We Choose Equity quality of life coalitions that won victories all over the country. We believe that we can do the same here. So that's the deal, man. I think if I add anything else, it's a quote by one of the greatest. Brent, are we able to put that quote up on the screen? That I think, there you go. Oppressed people, whatever their level of formal education, have the ability to understand and interpret the world around them, to see the world for what it is, and move to transform it. That was the great elevator. So if we believe that, we got to do the unsexy work of asking our people, what do you think? Just what it is, we make it very complicated. Just asking Miss Jones, what do you want your housing to look like? And then actually go back to Miss Jones so she can see that you listen to her. Miss Jones with you. And we need to do that in the next year as we build, because May 17th this is a living document. This is the introduction of a platform. And we spend the next year developing that. And then we come back to DC with a whole bunch more people when COVID is no longer an obstacle that can hold some people back, right? And so we believe this is our time to hold the Biden administration accountable. And so, sisters and brothers, oppressed people, whatever the level of education, have the ability to understand and interpret the world around them, to see the world for what it is, and move to transform it. Thank you. And then that's the website. And you all can go there. You can, again, get all the information you need. You can have your people register, get a sense of why we're doing this event, any resources you need, if you need to print out flyers and things of that nature. If you have any questions, we have frequently asked questions. We with you, man. We with you. And this is, like I said, the launch of a real campaign around equity in Black, Brown, Indigenous communities and low-income communities. So that's it. Thanks a lot, Dimitri. I'll turn it back over to you or Anika.
Thank you for passing the mic back. Thank you, Dimitri, for leading that powerful panel. We are on fire. We've heard from our youth, our young adults. We have heard from students who are on fire to make sure that we have justice in our organizing. We've heard organizers who work with unions, who are union leaders, who are saying we all must come together and work together. You have heard from the grassroots organizers that say, when you come for our hospitals in our neighborhoods and communities, we will keep them open. We will do that. And so we are asking that you would join us in Washington, D.C. on May the 17th. And we have been putting that up in our chat so that you would know how to sign up. And we hope that you will go there, standingforequity.org. Please register. Wanted to introduce our regional organizers to you. Those who are on right now, please go ahead and drop it so that people can stay in touch with you so that they can hear from J4J Alliance. Representing from the East Coast is none other than Phoenix. She's a part of the Boston Youth Organizing Project. In the Mid-Atlantic area, my name should be in there, and I will drop my information in the chat. Anika Whitfield, Grassroots, Arkansas. In the Midwest, hailing from the Midwest, Sonia with the Detroit Light Organization. In the South, Sharon Jackson, Texas Organizing Project, also known as TOP. Our youth, Raymond, Parents Unified for Local School Education, also known as PULSE. Karima, the Camden Student Union, also known as CSU, and Mariah, our National Unions and Civic Orgs leader. We are thanking our youth. Yes, we are intergenerational. We are meeting every need that we see that is not being met, and we are asking that you participate. We want you to get those names and those contacts that you will see in the chat, and be sure and reach out to us so that we can connect you on our Thursday calls. On this Thursday, we will be having a clearinghouse call for all those that are interested. I know that you probably had questions from tonight, wanted to know how many people can you bring, wanted to ask quite a few questions about what you can add to the table when you get there. Yes, show up with us on this Thursday, March the 25th. We are also having another clearinghouse call on April the 8th. They will happen at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're asking that you would join us and to participate. We are also asking you, each one of you, to stay on just a little bit longer to make sure that you complete an exit survey that we have laid out for you. We want you to participate in this exit survey because we know that we want to hear back what you heard today, and we want to hear back how you feel about our education equity, our equity or else quality of life agenda in Washington, D.C. on May 17th. So let us know what part of the agenda actually speaks to you. What are you working on in your area and in your region? How many people do you plan on bringing? And from this event, do you feel like you're ready to get a bus to organize to come to Washington, D.C.? Are you willing to share this information? And we believe the answer to this question is absolutely yes. So just go ahead and click share right now if you haven't already. And are you doing solidarity action in your city or region right now? And if you are, please let us know what that is. Place it in the chat. Please place it in the chat. We know that you want to be there with us on May the 17th. So go ahead, click on or type in, standingforequity.org. I think it is actually in the chat. You can click on that link. Go ahead and register. Commit to our safety and health pledge, and we plan on seeing you in Washington, D.C. Yes, we plan on seeing you in Washington, D.C. on May the 17th. We hope that you will reach out and connect with us. We hope that if you have any questions, you will not hesitate to reach them out to us. I want to make sure that I haven't left anything out. Here are some of those questions that you will see in our survey. What is your organization's area of focus around quality of life agenda? Is it education? Is it housing? Is it healthcare, environment or climate, safety? Let us know. Let us know. Again, how many people are you bringing? Let us know. Let us know. And be sure, if you haven't already, to go ahead and indicate what city or region you're acting in right now, because we want to make sure that we connect with you. Our organizers are ready to connect with you as well. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We want to thank you for catching the fire, catching the fever for the flavor of the change that we are going to see in our nation together. And we ask that you would just join us this Thursday for our clearinghouse call. Join us on April the 8th for our clearinghouse call. And then make sure you join us in Washington, D.C. for our Equity or Else Quality of Life Agenda Festival and Rally. You will want to be there. We'll see you then.